Welcome to Histology. He's known by many titles: the King in Yellow, the Unspeakable One, ruler of Carcosa. He marks every mind that glimpses his sign. He twists tales into torment. He unveils the truth behind the veil, then forces you to wear it. This is the story of Husta, and this is why he's so terrifying. Long before he was dreaded, Husta was revered. In 1893, Ambrose Bierce wrote a short story called Haita the Shepherd. It's a gentle, almost dreamlike tale about a young shepherd in a perfect countryside. His world is pure, free from pain, and his days are spent caring for animals and praying to a god named Hasta. This Hasta is a calm, holy figure, never seen or described, but always in the boy's heart. He stands for patience, kindness, and the hope that happiness awaits the faithful. In Bierce's tale, Hasta is more an idea than a person, a soothing presence tied to purity and hope. There's no fear here, no creeping terror, no yellow sign. Just a boy, a hill, and a god who hears him. Then something shifted. The name carried on, but its meaning changed. Within 2 years, another writer took that name and warped it into something new. The change from god to curse was sudden and almost unexplained. That's what makes Husta so disturbing. His roots were peaceful, but his corruption was swift. In Robert W. Chambers' 1895 collection, The King in Yellow, a new kind of horror spreads through a strange play. This play exists within the stories, whispered about, read in secret, feared for its power over those who find it. Only small pieces of the play are shown, but even those bits feel vast and troubling. The first act grabs the reader's mind. The second act transforms them. Nothing feels certain afterward. The world seems different. Feelings shift. Identities unravel. It distorts. It shows truths the reader wasn't meant to grasp. Around the play, certain images keep appearing. Carcosa, a lost city cloaked in fog. Lake Halley, vast and motionless. The yellow sign, a mark that shows up in art, on clothes, and in dreams. Each piece adds to a growing sense of taint, as if the story itself hides something dark. At the heart of this spiral is Husta. He doesn't appear or speak, but his presence lingers at the story's edges. He exists in the shadows, mentioned without detail, always tied to madness. Chambers never explains who or what Husta is. The fear comes from the hint, from how his name weaves through stories, minds, and time. In this world, Husta isn't a guest. He's already here, sewn into the tale, waiting behind the scenes, acting through others. By now, Husta's name has moved from writer to writer, leaving its original shape behind and gaining a life of its own. But what is Husta? He isn't one thing. He slips through stories, places, roles, symbols, each one built to break the mind from within. His terror comes not from death or ruin, but from change. Once his influence takes hold, the self starts to fade. As the King in Yellow, he emerges in the play's second act. His presence shifts everything. The audience loses the line between who they are and what they play. They say lines they didn't learn. They follow cues they never saw. Friends feel like strangers. Familiar things feel like acts. Soon, the difference between who they were and who they've become vanishes. They don't see the change. They feel like they've always been this way. They wake up saying a line from the play they thought they forgot. A familiar face seems wrong. A name feels like it belongs to someone else. When they speak, they're sure of things they never believed before. As the play spreads through words, its lines shape thoughts. Its structure changes beliefs. Readers start to speak in the play's rhythm. Their dreams follow its pace. Their words echo its style. The story rewrites their memories. Eventually, they can't recall when they began the play, only that they're living inside it. They repeat a line all day without knowing why. They whisper it while pouring tea, hear it in the quiet between sounds, and it doesn't stop until they say it aloud to someone who already knows what comes next. As Carcosa, he becomes the world. The city loops through fog and stillness. Its streets and buildings follow no clear pattern, but the mind starts to accept them. The paths circle back. The skyline repeats endlessly. Time bends inward. Those who wander Carcosa stop asking where they are. They feel like they've been there before, even if they haven't. The city becomes their only guide. Every thought ties to its crumbling stones. As the yellow sign, he uses recognition to enter. The symbol appears once, then again, and again. Those who see it start sharing images and words with others who've seen it too. Their dreams align. Their thoughts repeat. Their identities merge. They don't feel controlled. They feel known by something that never needed permission to enter. Husta alters perception, memory, identity. His victims keep living their lives, saying their names, following their routines. But every part of their reality is now scripted. They feel free. They feel like themselves. But every thought was already written. That's why Husta is so feared. It starts with a feeling behind the eyes. A heavy, not painful pressure. Like a thought that won't finish but won't leave. They smell the sea where there's no water. They forget why they walked into a room. They hum a tune they don't know, and someone hums it back. He doesn't take anything away. He adds, he builds, he tweaks. And when he's done, you look in the mirror, smile, and feel complete, never noticing what you've become. Husta's influence grew in the 20th century, blending into the cosmic horror known as the Cthulhu mythos. At its core was H.P. Lovecraft, a writer fascinated by ancient secrets, unknowable gods, and humanity's smallness in a vast, uncaring universe. Lovecraft didn't create Husta. He took the name from Chambers, just as Chambers took it from Bierce. In Lovecraft's tales, Husta's name appears briefly, hidden in strange lists, whispered in occult texts, tucked into forbidden books. He never describes Husta's form or actions, and that silence makes the name powerful. In a mythos full of monstrous gods and alien worlds, Husta is the most unsettling because he stays hidden. Later, Lovecraft's friend August Derleth expanded the mythos. Derleth tried to organize it, giving each entity a clear role and place. He made Husta a great old one, an ancient being tied to decay, madness, and the distant Hyades star cluster. He linked Husta to Lake Hali, gave him rivals, cults, and a role as Cthulhu's enemy. But when Husta was defined, pinned to a place, given powers, and forced into order, something was lost. The fear chambers built through mystery didn't survive such clear rules. Yet Husta endured. His name kept spreading, even when others tried to limit it. This is what sets Husta apart. Other mythos gods overwhelm with size, form, or force. Husta rules through presence. He survives contradictions. He grows through reinterpretation. He doesn't need to appear. His power comes from being mentioned, misunderstood, left to linger. In Lovecraft's world, most horrors come from the stars. Husta comes through ideas, art, words, through the moment a reader pauses and wonders if they've seen the yellow sign before. Husta spreads because stories spread. His name moves from writer to writer, scene to scene, until the story itself becomes his way of spreading. By the time he reaches modern stories, Husta needs no introduction. He's already part of the tale. In True Detective, the King in Yellow isn't a character but a shadow woven into the background. The yellow sign appears in sketches. Carcosa is mentioned like a half-forgotten place. Characters chase truths they can't name, lost, in a story that feels older than them. In games like Bloodborne, the influence lingers. Husta isn't named, but his traces are there. Madness, change, and hidden truths shape the world. The settings feel unsteady in just the right way. At Canehurst Castle, Martyr Ligarius stands alone atop a broken tower. His stance is noble, his crown shattered, his purpose unclear. He carries the weight of something unspoken, duty, secrecy, perhaps a curse. He feels like a hint of the King in Yellow. Husta now works like a story virus. He travels through words, hints, and patterns. The reader, viewer, or player doesn't just follow the story, they mirror it. Scenes replay in their mind. Lines feel familiar. They notice patterns no one pointed out. The story's structure becomes the message. The tale becomes part of their thoughts. The King in Yellow appears through rhythm, through placement, through the feeling that you've heard his name before. He moves without shape, without warning. Once he's in the story, he stays. You're already part of it. You said his name, the King in Yellow. You followed the tale. You looked. And that's enough. You must fear Husta because he reshapes reality silently, carefully, completely. He gives you a new truth, a new memory, a new self, and makes you believe it was always yours. You'll go back to your day. You'll speak as you always have. You'll sleep without noticing when the dream began. But something's different. A rhythm, a phrase, a memory you don't recall making. By the time you notice, he's already written the next line.